The Trump administration is shifting funds for defence towards Nato partners and fighting trade wars. On Monday, President Donald Trump gave the green light for next year's defence bill. It's a tempered version of an earlier draft, but still targets China and Turkey. The bill secures $716 billion in military spending for next year. It includes fighter jets, battleships and a 2.6% pay rise for service personnel. It waters down penalties against Chinese tech giant ZTE for violating trade sanctions, but has banned departments from using or buying ZTE or Huawei-made products. The bill also aims to counter China's military activity in the South China Sea. The new law also delays the delivery of F-35 fighter jets to Turkey until the Pentagon looks into Ankara's planned purchase of the Russian S-400 missile defence system. Well, TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, joins me now from Paris. Craig, good to have you back. Firstly, let's start with the headline of this bill, the hundreds of billions of dollars in defence spending. It's not surprising that it enjoyed a bipartisan support because most of this money will remain in American hands, won't it?
Yes, it will, but let me do some unpacking of the American bureaucracy here, Oscar. The John McCain National Defense Authorization Act is not a defense bill. What say you? Well, what it is, it's a piece of paper that authorizes the policies under which funding will be set by the Appropriations Committee. What it means, if the Senate, if the Congress of the United States is going to give money to the military, authorized money, the White House has to do certain things. Now let's go through the big three because we have three targeted sanctioned countries on this. Start with Russia. $6.3 billion, the bill says, will give for troops in Europe so long as Trump confirms he's imposed sanctions on the Russians. That's the big one. Let's go to China next. As you said, it bans the U.S. government purchasing gear from ZTE and other companies, and it gives the Defense Department authority and greater control, which is very important when foreigners want to buy U.S. firms. It's out to stop Chinese predatory behavior, and it also strengthens the support for Taiwan's military capacity. And that's what angers the Chinese because of the islands that are being built, mostly constructed in the South China Sea. Now, the third country in the Troika is, of course, Turkey. And what the Defense Authorization Act says, it prohibits the delivery of F-35 Lightning II jet fighters until the Department of Defense produces a report that essentially says nice things about Turkey, such as the government is going to release the pastor back to the United States, that perhaps Turkey is not going to purchase any of those S-400 Russian missiles. That's the big piece of this bill, Oscar, because it's a huge deal for transatlantic security.
Yes, and let's look at the previous country that was targeted that you mentioned, China. Another provision in this bill is that it's beefing up, I guess, the powers of America's foreign investment committees who scrutinise deals. And while China's not specifically mentioned in the bill, I mean, everyone's saying that it is targeting Beijing. China, understandably, is quite angry at this. So can this new law be seen as an attack on Chinese investment in the US?
It's an attempt to put a holding pattern around China's One Belt, One Road initiative. Because as the One Belt, One Road $1.3 or $4 trillion initiative continues to scoop up corporations and properties around the world, will eventually start involving American companies and American interests. And what this bill, I'm told, is designed to do is to ensure that the White House keeps a very close watch on what One Belt, One Road intends to buy. And the Congress is saying, if you don't do it, if you don't try and stop them, this is written between the lines, we're not going to give you that defense money that you want.
And Craig, just quickly on the Turkey situation, Defence Secretary James Mattis has said in a letter that was leaked some time ago that he's actually concerned about the banning of the F-35s to Turkey, despite what Congress is saying. How will this all end? Do you think the Pentagon will find in favour of Turkey so that it can finally receive what it's ordered?
Perhaps the last saving grace between U.S. and Turkish relations right now is the Turkish military and the U.S. military have been friends and allies and have closely cooperated since the 1960s. There's a very strong bond there. Mattis is right to be concerned. The American government and NATO does not want S-400 Russian anti-aircraft missiles in Turkey, particularly with high-tech American jets, this Lightning jet, around, because that jet can be shot down by that missile. So they don't want to have F-35 Lightning IIs in the sky.
Yes.
The same time they have SS-400s.
Interesting. Okay, Craig Copetas in Paris, thanks as always.